Hello, my name is Matt Krause. I am the CV doctor in Istanbul, Turkey. The title of today's lesson is Giving Context. Giving context in your CV achieves a similar thing as adding numbers to your CV. Giving context gives life to your achievements. It tells more details about the story. It tells about the surrounding environment. It gives life to your accomplishments. So let me give you an example of what giving context means. Pretend you are a finance person, an accounts receivable manager. Here's your accomplishment. Grew accounts receivable by 20%. But wait a minute, that's not a good thing, right? Accounts receivable means that people owe you money. So you want to keep that number as low as possible. You want to collect money and convert it into cash quickly. So an example of keeping that achievement in context would be kept AR growth to 20%. At the same time, sales grew 53%. Now that's an achievement. You're saying AR only grew a little, even though sales grew a lot. We were doing a really good job. We were collecting money really fast. That's what I mean by context. Sometimes taking your individual achievements and putting them into a bigger picture makes the individual achievement even more important. So let's take a look at a couple more examples. Here's example number 1. Under Communications Coach, look at this sentence, the last bullet point. Trained educational cooperative how to use internet as a marketing and customer acquisition tool. Yeah, that's cool, but it could be better. How? Well, let's give it some context. You see, at the time, there was an economic crisis. The worldwide economic crisis has been a big event for the past year, but this CV doesn't mention it anywhere. This particular job, training the educational cooperative, happened during that crisis. And you know what? Those new marketing tools helped them to maintain their prices. While everyone else was cutting their prices and losing money, they weren't. They were maintaining their prices. So let's add this onto the end. Second sentence. The new techniques allowed them to maintain prices and protect margins when an economic crisis pressured competitors to drop theirs. So at first we had, I taught someone how to do something. Now we have, I taught someone how to do something during a crisis so they wouldn't lose money. That's a pretty good use of context. So let's look for another example. Let's move on to example number 2. Let's look here at motojoules. Here's some context to the motojoules job. Before we start writing, let me tell you about the background. That's the thing about context. You've got to talk about it before you know what context to describe. My main business at motojoules was selling evil eye bracelets. Basically, jewelry from Turkey. But it was a very commodified business. The price points were very low. On average, I think the bracelets went for about $10 or $20 each. Plus, there were about 10 other stores online selling similar items. And in fact, most of us were buying our inventory from the same suppliers. So it was a very commodified business. However, if you didn't already know that, simply by looking at my CV, you wouldn't learn that. So let's say something about that commodified nature. Before we're ready to write, we need to tell the readers how we responded to this situation. It's not enough to just tell them it was a highly commodified business. We have to tell them what we did in response. Well, in this example, one thing I did was to sponsor some cultural groups, like some singing groups and some dancing groups that were very close to my target market. And those groups would use my products to promote themselves in their community. And since I was there for the process, I became less of a commodity. Let's try writing. Insert a bullet point here. Let's try writing. Avoided commodification pressure by sponsoring cultural groups near to the target market, building a brand reputation for community support. Avoided commodification pressure by sponsoring cultural groups near to the target market, building a brand reputation for community support. All right. So let's do one more. Actually, I'm not going to correct something. I'm going to show you an example of context, an example that I like. So here we go. Example number 3. Look below at Eddie Bauer. And bullet point number 4. Collaborated with other retail ops finance members to develop ways to make more efficient use of the existing budget money to maintain as much staffing in the stores as possible, given the shrinking budgets brought on by steep drops in sales. That's context. Sure, we were trying to use the money better. That's a good thing. But you can use money better anytime, in good times or in bad times. So note the last part of that sentence because it gives the reader some context. The last part right here. Given the shrinking budgets brought on by steep drops in sales. This bullet point tells the reader, number 1, we were saving money. Number 2, we were trying to save money because sales were dropping. And then number 3, we were trying to save money because sales were dropping, but we were still trying to keep as many employees in the stores as possible. This bullet point tells the reader that in difficult times, we got creative so we could still keep getting better even though times were tough. If all you did was say the first part, collaborated with the other members to use money efficiently, that doesn't tell you anything interesting, and in fact, it's just a job description. But when you add context, it's not just a job description, it's a story. All right, that's 3 examples. That's it for now. Remember, the goal of this lesson, the point of this lesson, was use context to tell a better story. Sure, you only have about 10 seconds to impress your reader, but if you're successful and if you impress him, he's going to want to read more. And if he reads more, you want to have a good story. Context is going to help you do that. And remember, your CV can always be improved. These same lessons can always be used. They'll never get old. So improve your CV and improve your CV and improve your CV some more. My name's Matt Krause. I am the CV doctor in Istanbul, Turkey. Thanks for watching. Take care.